Hello everybody, this is English for you. Today in the studio with me I'll have my Fazeka students. Kata,
hello.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Szabolcs, how's it hanging?
Perfectly.
Perfect, okay, good. Victoria, what's up?
Everything's great.
Good, how are you doing, Victor?
Great, thanks.
Good, I'm very happy. And Eva and Mati, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good, excellent. And today's special guest is Mr. Andrew Morgan from the Salvation Army. Have you got a guess what it might mean, the Salvation Army? If you have a guess, would you please put up your hand? Mati?
I think it's a land salvation, and the land's army is Salvation Army.
So what do you think in Hungarian?
Szalvácia hadserege.
No, not really. Not quite. Victoria?
In Hungarian?
Yes, please.
Üt hadsereg, because of his uniform, but I don't know what it means.
Okay, so I hope that by the end of this show, you will learn a lot of things about this. A very warm welcome to the studio, Andrew.
Thank you, Victor.
And I found an interesting magazine, and in the magazine, it's the War Cry, the magazine of the Salvation Army, and in it, I found an article on Hungary and a very good picture. So before talking about the Salvation Army, would you be so kind as to introduce your family?
Yes.
Will you?
This is my wife, Darlene, and our two boys. Nathan, the oldest, is 7, and our youngest, Paul, is just 1 year.
Right, thank you very much. And if you look at Andrew, you can see his beautiful uniform, right? And I would like you to look at this epaulette. What can you see?
A star.
Say it, Victoria.
A star.
How many stars?
One.
Only one.
Only one. Thank you, Mati. Now, if you look at your desk, inside you're going to find a word card. And this is the time to hold up your word card and say the word out loud. Kata, it's your turn to start.
Colonel.
Say it again.
Colonel.
Excellent.
It's major.
Major, very good.
Lieutenant.
Perfect pronunciation.
General.
General, and Mati?
Captain.
Your pronunciation is fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Now, your job is going to be to put the ranks in order, starting with the lowest rank. Which one do you think is the lowest?
Captain.
No.
No captain.
Victoria?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant. Right. The second one?
Then captain.
Captain. I think you're right. Then comes... I think it's
Major.
yours.
It's major.
Would you show it?
Major.
Major. And then... I think it's yours.
Colonel.
Would you
Shall
hold
I?
it up, please? Colonel, and the last one is?
General.
General. And we're going to have those words on the projector. So, right, Lieutenant, Captain, Major, Colonel, and General. Andrew, what are you?
Are they not to guess?
Okay. 1 star. Mati?
Captain.
Andrew?
No.
So what are you, Andrew? And how did you earn your star?
Well, I'm a lieutenant, and that means I have just the 1 star, yes, and it's because I've completed my training and have yet to serve 5 years.
So you are a lieutenant, and you always wear the same uniform? Because I saw it in the picture.
If I take my jacket off, yes, I'll have a white shirt with epaulets as well.
Right, okay. Now we're going to have the picture of a very famous person. His name is William Booth, and he's going to be on the projector pretty soon. And I think this is a very famous person, right,
Yes,
Andrew?
so I think so.
Right, and he founded the Salvation Army back in?
Oh, 1878.
Yes. Why in Britain?
Well, at that time in Britain, there was a great disparity between the affluent and the very poor. And the work of the Salvation Army was mainly amongst the very poor.
Right, and why is it called an army?
Well, the overall structure was founded upon a quasi-military pattern, and it became very easy to motivate and to move the forces in a military pattern.
Right, so it's the organization that helped.
Yes.
And you have a very famous motto, and it's going to come up pretty soon on the projector. And I would like you to talk about this motto. So we have already talked about the organization. Would you please, first of all, just read it out?
Yes, heart to God and hand to man.
What does that mean?
Well, to have a heart to God, meaning have a relationship with God, believing that He motivates us and His love for us then inspires us to place our hands out in love to mankind.
Are you closely related to any sect, like the Methodist Church?
Well, the Salvation Army came out of the Methodist Church, yes. We are a Protestant denomination and are Christian, yes.
But basically it's non-denominational. It's a very
Yes.
long word, and I've been trying to memorize this. So what does that mean, non-denominational?
Well, we hold no specific affiliation with any of the traditional churches. So we are not Catholic, we are not Reformed. We come out of the Protestant tradition.
Thank you very much. Here's a word for you, compassion. And it means a very strong sympathy for somebody who is poor or somebody who suffers, and the desire to help them, compassion. Is there a particular group of people you feel particularly compassion for, Kata?
Well, I thought of addict because to become an addict, it can happen to anyone, and it, it doesn't really depend on you, or not always, because you might not be aware of the dangers that are in it, and you have to be very strong to avoid becoming an addict.
What kind of addicts do you have in mind?
Drug, alcohol.
All right, good. And can you think of any way to help them?
Well, maybe giving money to them or their rehabilitation programs.
Super, yes, rehab programs, rehabilitation programs. Thank you very much. Szabolcs.
It's very hard to decide because lots of people need help, but I would assist people having serious diseases. Because there were incurable diseases in the past, and scientists found medicines for these. So I think they can find medicines now, and it would be a final solution. So not just for the present, but for the future also.
Right, so medical research could be a way out. Thank you very much. Victoria, please.
It's the disabled people there are two groups of them, the mentally and the physically challenged. And I think that they need protection, and I always want to help them in a way. But I think you can't make them dependent on you, so you have to help them become independent and self-sufficient, so that you have to improve their mental conditions and physical abilities.
Thank you very much. Very nice ideas. Victor, please.
I think orphans are suffering a lot, so the orphanages can't give that what a mother or a father can. And if I had that sum of money, I would give them financial assistances, and I think adaptation of them will be some kind of...
Okay, foster parents and adaptation. Good,
parents.
thank you very much. They're nice kids.
They
right?
are very nice.
Very nice kids.
Great ideas, too.
Yes, now we're going to meet Mike Nemesvári, as the report calls him. I think his name is Mike Nemesvári, must be some Hungarian origin. And it's going to be a very sad report. And group one, I would like you to listen to this. What was Mike before 1985? Group two, what happened in 1985? Would you roll the tape, please?
At the age of 24, Mike Nemesvári had the world at his feet. He was Britain's greatest hope of a world champion in competitive skiing and had won a series of Canadian and British titles, as well as 3 World Cups. But on the 18th of May, 1985, Mike's life changed forever. During a routine training session on the trampoline, Mike attempted a maneuver he had done hundreds of times before. Only this time, he blacked out for a split second and landed on his neck. The accident left Mike Nemesvári quadriplegic. He can't walk and has no feeling left in both hands.
Right, so could you...
He was a competitive skier. He won a lot of World Cups. And
Yeah, he was
something happened.
excellent at skiing. So he was very, very good at skiing. Thank you, that's it. And what happened in 1985? Victoria, please.
He was having a routine training session, and then he had a moment of blackout, and he was on the trampoline and landed on his neck. So he's paralyzed now.
Thank you. And what happened was that he blacked out just for a split second, just for a very short time, a very short period of time, for a split second. He blacked out and he landed on his neck, and he became, and this is the word for it, quadriplegic, which means that he can't move, can't control his legs, and he can't control his hands. We're going to listen to the second clip, and group one, how had Mike seen himself before the accident? And group two, how has Mike changed? Now he's going to listen to Mike speaking and talking about his life, okay? Roll the tape, please, will you?
I've redefined myself, I think, in terms of the fact that initially, when I was an athlete, I had all my rewards from using my body. That's how I expressed myself. That's how the world saw me. That's how I saw myself. That was my personal identity. Up until that point, I never thought that I could have a life. I mean, if you would have told me, you know, when I was 21, 22, on top of the world skiing, I'd be a quadriplegic one day, I'd say, well, I'll kill myself. You know, I can't handle it. What I have learned is the power of the mind, the power, literally, you know, I don't say in a trivial way of the human spirit, to persevere and go on and focus on abilities as opposed to disabilities. And I guess that's how I've redefined myself. I've refocused, I've reinvented myself in terms of new goals that are now within my grasp, given my circumstances.
Right. So before the accident, Kata?
Well, all he received it from his body, and that's how he saw himself.
Yeah, his body was very, very important, right? And how has he changed? Victor, please.
When he got a disabled person, then the power of his mind gave some kind of a support to him, and then he reinvented himself.
He reinvented himself, thank you very much. And this is, I think, a key word, perseverance. It means that you keep trying to achieve something in spite of all the difficulties in the world. Perseverance, right? And he's trying to focus on things he can do as opposed to things he can't do. And he has reinvented his goals. And he has an aim now. And if you look at this picture, you can see the side of something and a couple of words. I wonder if you can see them. Matti, can you see these words? Can you read them out, please?
Yeah. Round the word challenge.
Round the word challenge. And this is the side of what? The side of a?
Jeep.
Of a car. Say it again.
A jeep.
A jeep. What do you think his aim might be? Round the word challenge. And this is the side of a jeep. Can you put 2 and 2 together and come up with a nice guess, Victoria?
He's traveling around the world and trying to give people example of willpower and how to carry on.
Fantastic.
And this is a challenge.
Yes, say it again.
It was a challenge.
It is a challenge. So he's planning to go around the world. Right. Now this time, we're going to listen to the next clip. And again, group 1, how many continents, countries, kilometers and months? So it's going to be about the tour. So again, continents, countries, kilometers and months. And group 2, how many legs does the tour consist of? And the leg is a part of a long journey done at a time. Okay? So would you roll the tape, please?
The journey will take Mike and his team through 4 continents and 16 countries, covering over 40,000 kilometers in total. The team expect to be on the road for the best part of 5 months. Setting off in Canada, the team will drive first to London and from there on to Ankara. The third leg of the Round the World Challenge will take them to Sydney and from there on to Mexico City. Finally, Mike and his team will drive from Mexico City back to Ottawa in Canada, completing the challenge.
Right. Szabolcs.
It was 4 continents and 16 countries. They moved. They traveled 40,000 kilometers.
They are going to travel.
As they are going to travel 40,000 kilometers, it will take 5 months.
Excellent. Very good. Congratulations. And how many legs does it consist of, Viktor?
5 legs. They start at Ottawa and they go to Sydney and back to Ottawa.
Right.
But there are
Right. Ottawa. Andrew, you are from Canada, aren't you?
I am, yes.
So have you ever been to Ottawa?
Oh, yes, I have, many times.
Is it a nice
It's
city?
a beautiful city, especially at New Year's when it's very, very cold.
Okay. So they're going to make this long tour. This time you're going to meet Mike in his Jeep. Group 1, I would like you to watch Mike's facial expressions and try to read his emotions. He's going to talk about this tour. Group 2, how does Mike drive? Could you just listen to the and watch for the small technicalities, how he drives his car? Roll the tape, please.
Well, as you've noticed, I've got into the vehicle, but I'm quite far back. So now what I've got to do is I actually move myself forward on a sliding track. I bring my headrest close enough to me, and then I'll actually start the vehicle now. Okay, because I can't use my hands, I can't feel my hands, I use what's called a tri-pin grip, which essentially takes all the strength from my biceps and my shoulder muscles and transfers that strength and energy through to the steering wheel. The other interactive controls when I'm driving are things like the indicators. So I throw my head to the left for the left turn signal, I throw my head to the right for the right turn signal. On the back of the headrest, I throw my head on this side for the windshield wipers and washers, and I throw my head back on the other side for the horn. Usually I use my head when I'm driving.
Right. I would like you to watch this picture very carefully. Look at his face and talk about his emotions. Kata.
I think he's proud of himself and maybe happy.
Excellent. And the whole thing is, Szabolcs?
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Yes.
The thing is very depressing that he can't really move, but the way he talks about the way he drives, with a touch of pride, I agree, and also with a touch of self-irony. He's saying, I usually use my head when I'm driving, and there's this little smile, perseverance, very nice. And the technicalities, Victoria, please.
He's got a sliding chair or a seat rather, and he uses this thing that he connects his wrist to, so that all his energy from his muscles is transferred to the steering wheel, and then he uses his head a lot of times.
Yeah, for the turn signals and for the windshield wipers and for the...
Headlights.
Maybe the headlights and the horn. Right. Okay, now we are going to listen to Mike's goal, Mike's aim. Why is he going to do this trip, this long journey? So this is going to be our last clip. Would you roll the tape, please?
If all goes well, Mike's aim is to raise 10 million Canadian dollars, which he will donate to spinal cord injuries research. In recent years, there have been a number of scientific breakthroughs, but the truth is, a cure is still far off. In the meantime, it's advances in technology, like Mike's car, that enable disabled people to achieve some degree of independence and add quality to their lives.
Right. Anybody? Kata, please.
Well, I think he will get 10 million Canadian dollars and he will use it for science.
Yes, would you like to add anything to it? Victoria, please.
Medical research for spinal diseases.
Yes, spinal cord injuries. And you're absolutely right. He wants to raise 10 million Canadian dollars and donate spinal cord injury research. Donate to give something, especially money, to an organization in order to help them. Andrew, how did you like this report?
It's very interesting, yes.
Any comments on this?
Well, being Canadian, I can relate something to the skiing, and certainly this man and his injuries are very, how shall I say, understandable, and the way he's going about living his life, even with his disability, yes.
Yeah, this is an example, isn't it?
Yes, very good, yes.
And does the Salvation Army have a target group like disabled people?
Yes, the Salvation Army does work in some areas with disabled people. Here in Hungary, mainly we're working with disadvantaged people who are very poor.
And this was, sorry to interrupt, this was the original idea.
Well, yes.
Back in Britain.
130 years ago, we started working with the very poorest in Britain, and are doing the same even today here in Budapest.
Right, and we're going to have 3 words on the projector, and I would like you to talk about these 3 words, the 3 S's,
yes.
as it soap, soup, and salvation.
Yes.
So what do they mean?
Well, we take perhaps a homeless person who is in need of clothes, who is in need of food, and is in need of a relationship with God. But how do you speak to him about spiritual things when he doesn't feel so well? So we offer to him some soap, meaning a time to bathe, to make his body fresh and clean. And then offer to him some soup that his stomach isn't grumbling. And then once he feels good and has his tummy full, then he'll be open and more interested to listen to what we have to say about Jesus Christ.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to have a building on the projector, and I think you are very proud of this building.
Yes.
Maybe the photograph is not the best one. I've been to this building, and from the inside it looks spacious and light and wonderful. So what's the story with this building?
This is a building in the 8th district where one of our churches meet, and I'm the pastor of the church that meets there. It's a place that is open, and we invite the community, especially the needy, who are perhaps in need of soap or soup, and of course salvation.
Right. And what are the problems with homeless people? You mentioned, when we talked 2 or 3 days ago, you mentioned 3 problems.
Yes, very often 3 things come about. Unemployment, alcoholism, as one person had mentioned.
Kata.
Yes. and homelessness. And often there is difficulties within a relationship with a man and wife, and from that difficulty may result in drinking, which leads to alcoholism, which then leads to a divorce and a separation, and then people go different ways and someone ends up without a house. Or can happen in other ways. First a person becomes unemployed, and then they go home and their wife is angry, so they go to the bar instead, and eventually their relationship falls apart. So these factors are bearing upon homeless and needy people.
Any success stories?
Oh yes, yes. We're very, very pleased to see how God works in the lives of people and brings about this newness, as in Mike, a perseverance to go forward. And we say this is by God's grace.
Right. And if I know where you have a men's hostel,
yes,
how many buildings have you got?
We have a men's hostel in Budapest for accommodating 100 men. We also have a women's hostel accommodating 24 women. We also have a safe house for abused women and their children, and we can take there 6 families.
Right. Andrew is from Canada. Why you? Why here?
In 1990, as the Salvation Army entered again into Hungary, there was an appeal for people to come in a voluntary way and to serve to help re-establish the work here. And my wife and I both felt a call from the Lord to come and serve here. And so we came and have been here now for a while.
Good. And what kind of help do you need? Because you help a lot of people, but you yourself need some help.
Yes, if we are able to help others, we must have others who will help us. So we are always looking for donations, as Mike was, that of finances, of money. We're also in need of donations of used clothing that we can pass along to others, donations of foodstuffs, canned goods, perishable items even, that we can then provide meals for people.
Yeah, you've been to Hungary for a couple of years, so would you be so kind as to read it out in beautiful Hungarian? So this is the address, right?
This is our main contact address if anyone would like to meet with us. This is Üdvadsereg Központi Iroda in Budapest, 1063 Bajnok utca 25, and a telephone fax.
Good.
Should I speak in English?
That's fine. And you need clothes, money, food?
Yes.
These three things, basically.
These are the most important things that we are in need of so that we can then help others.
Because you serve 200 hot meals a day?
Yes, we do.
Right.
We have 3 different clothing distribution centers in the city.
Okay. Now, I think one part of the Salvation Army, or one, how shall I put it, one method to raise money is the music.
Yes.
You have fantastic brass music, and we can see a picture of this. And while the music is on, would you be so kind as to talk about this music?
Well, brass band. Why a brass band? If you enter a big cathedral, a very large church, you'll see on the wall these long pipes that make a pipe organ. I say that in the Salvation Army, we took those pipes off the wall, and the very little one we twisted up to make a cornet, and the very big one we twisted up to make a tuba. And now we can take our big pipe organ and go out into the street and attract people with the music of this. And also this mobile organ lends itself to accompanying congregational singing, and we can use that to praise and worship the Lord.
Right. Could you mention 5 very characteristic instruments of the brass band?
Yes, the very smallest instrument would be the cornet. And then
Would you say it again?
Cornet.
Okay.
Next to that is a horn. There's also a baritone.
Can you play the baritone?
Baritone is, can I play personally?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Oh.
That's the instrument that I learned on. I first learned
You should
to play
have
a
brought
baritone.
one in the studio.
Oh, I should have, I suppose. There's also a trombone. That's the very long one, you know. And then a bass, or a tuba.
The big one.
The big one, yes.
Okay. And in that particular article, Hungary for God, I read that the Morgans ask you to pray, and one of the things is so we must pray for complete fluency in Hungarian. Why is it very important for you?
Because I'm the pastor of a Hungarian congregation, I communicate in Hungarian. And my Hungarian is not perfect, and so I am praying, and I've asked others also to pray that my fluency would be much better than it is.
And you still have some problems getting on with your Hungarian?
I encounter difficulties sometimes, yes.
Okay, so what we have learned, a couple of words, and also the history of the Salvation Army, and one more thing, what Andrew and his wife have been doing here in Hungary, okay? And if we want to help them, we know how to do it. So Andrew, thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you, Viktor.
And I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
And see you in another show in another time. And thank you very much for your help too. Okay, and see you next week.
Thanks.